Oh, we're not turning those ones out.
These at all. No, but I never remember to turn them on. Now I do. It's like,
Going to have to retrain.
What do you use? A little disc.
Here we go.
okay, I'll call the meeting to order and present the agenda of veteran services. And let's just see, first we have the choir report and hopefully.
Yes, with Boyer, we ran a total of 10 events with 4 coffee hours spread throughout the county. Vietnam Veterans Day at Warsaw Park. And the reason why it says 9 on here is because I separated it to Vietnam Veterans Day. And we have 2 events through Operation Higher Ground at Beaver Hollow. We have 2 horse riding days at Wolcott Farms, as well as the Sabres game we went to on the last Wednesday of the month. The bus rental too from my office area. All those combined, these total of 189 veterans. And during the Vietnam Veterans giveaway, many Vietnam veterans, they seem to be overcome with emotion because of how poorly they were treated when they came home. And I told them it's the least we could do to try to rectify that wrong somewhat. So I was very well received by that. For the Sabres game, I don't know if any of you know veteran Larry Brennan, his daughter Michelle Brennan was the yes, she died last year, but
He just.
yes, and so he was a huge Sabres fan, and his last Wednesday he was alive was the Sabres game. And he was very happy there. And he had a very good time, so I'm glad we were able to give him that piece. And next Monday at Roxton and Hasbro is a funeral at 7 o'clock. We're doing that ceremony for him and all that. Good man. And when we do the bi-weekly food giveaways in our cave, pick up for 8 veterans throughout the county. Just drop it off free of charge and no questions asked. But it'll be missed by us.
Any questions regarding the activities report?
And for future different activities that are in the planning stages, I'm in contact with the owner of the Tavia Muck Dogs, looking to get tickets for 1 or 2 games this summer, and they have a food voucher as well for veterans and their spouses. We're working with Supervisor Katie and Larry Becker about the fishing day and pike for mid-July. Still moving forward, we sent the form to the DEC to get the waiver. We can get back on that. And we booked the picnic again, and we always do late August at Charter Graph, this time set for Saturday, 27 August, as well as late June and late July. We're going to be doing a family pop-up out in there with lunch, and if it rains, let's go inside and do a tokens for the arcade. Yeah, it's a good family turnout for that, kids on some vacation. We currently have 121 active claims that we're working on. And last month, we recovered a total of $23,525.31 on that in the county. And one of the things that we have to do with that, like myself, I'm accredited to write the file claims, but I don't have a VA here card to write the local VA file. After the thing with it was last my Good Friday, up to the Canandaigua VA. That's when I let me know that they wasted 3 hours of taxpayers' time, because they made the appointment 2 days prior. But they just had to sign it over and I didn't call nobody. There was also 110 miles of taxpayers' gas money that was wasted as well. So I'm going to that tomorrow, but hopefully they'll show up for work. Very frustrating. And that's what I have to do.
Was that so you could be fingerprinted?
Yes, yeah, I told him, I said, no, I've done it before to be a football referee, man. They said, you gotta go through the VA system. The table that they don't have it now in Buffalo, their system's down for a while.
Sure, yeah, I was also the same. Next door.
Yeah, I like to get physical permits, and I told them, they said, no, the VA has to have their own little system for it. And that's it on the lawyer side of things. Are there any questions on that part?
Do you trend these numbers, like keep track over, I know you're fairly new, but minus COVID.
Yeah.
Do you kind of watch those numbers to see if you're gaining people or losing people or different events probably have different numbers, obviously.
We do. We have a binder that's usually up to, depending how thick it is, 14 to 18 months at a time. Going back, we have a couple of binders, back when we started work 3 to 4 years ago. And we also have, every month, we have to send out a report to New York State area that distributes the funds, so they know that we're using it the right way and all that. I've noticed, it seems like last year and then this year, again, because of COVID, that can affect things, but in the wintertime, the numbers are definitely down somewhat because a lot of the veterans, went out in Florida, they have weather going to drive. But I'm hoping though, this having a great variety of events that will help get those numbers larger and all that helps to bring some younger veterans who want to bring their kids out for the day.
Do we know how many veterans are in Wyoming County?
There is 2,642.
You can
That
keep
are
a
registered,
percentage.
right? That are registered.
That's coming, actually, that came from the VA website that was broken down by county. So I didn't say that was just veterans registered or veterans period.
And that's always moving, obviously, but.
Yes, yeah, but there's predicted to be a large decline throughout the whole country, even now from 6 years from now, it's projected to drop 40% in New York State veteran population. And back in 1960, 40% of the adult population were veterans, but now it's down to 7%. So, we'll do what we can and make contact with who we have, but populations that are controlled.
There's probably no agency or whatever that keeps track of how many active duty people come from the state, because you wouldn't even know if they're going to come back to.
So they have a breakdown right how many enlist by state,
Okay.
but for the rest of it though, yes, I know so many of them go to more affordable states like Florida and all that, low income tax, especially when they retire. Like 2 sergeants, sergeant major down in Louisiana. So he's from New York City, but he's going to Florida when he retires just because of how much New York would take his retirement check.
North Carolina too.
Incorporated right there, Marine basis. So New York will just continue to boost veterans like Texas, Virginia, and Carolina. Florida will continue to increase the overall nation, and we continue to see a drop.
Any other questions regarding activities? Armed Forces.
I've seen we've done that in years past, so I'd like to make that proclamation again, updates for this year. And usually it's in early May, this time it's in mid-May, just on the dates. And traditionally in Buffalo, they do an opening day on a Sunday at Buffalo River Works, been the past few years. And then on Saturday, they do a big Armed Forces ball. Usually it's kind of just street armory, they've been under some construction with lead, so it's kind of Russell's. But this year, I looked, it looks like there's nothing going on this year because of COVID this month. But it's still a formal thing going on.
Can I get a motion to do the proclamation for Armed Forces? Any questions or any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And then Memorial Day.
We have, written down my towns, but a couple of them added, such as Bennington, I think we have, and the VBA, Veterans of America, doing something at Hartford, Genesee County that day, Memorial Day, South Miami. But all that with the updated information is being sent out to our newsletter. People, we sent out 353, now we're up to, and our emails are about 185. So it'll be as well known what can make it for all the activities going on. I have unless there's any other questions.
We'll see what is during committee, right? Great.
They said, so I joked with people, joke there, I'll name the people.
They're nice name.
Enzo. That's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Any questions at all? Thank you.
Professional.
Andrea is not here. So why don't we skip forward? Oh, I'm sorry.
I am though.
Alright. Oscar aging. And we have our stats. Want to review anything on them?
You have all the numbers already.
Well, personal response levels. That is one.
Oh, for ISA.
Yeah.
So the number I have is 5, which there are 5 that are receiving an emergency button only under ISA. But a lot of our PCA 1 and 2 clients also get that too. So I can give you whatever number you want.
There's another side though here, president, yeah. Private pay, lifeline.
Yeah, so for respite, I have 17. And then private pay, I have 44.
Any questions regarding any of the numbers on the report? Services?
I just want to mention one small little thing. So these numbers, the ISAP 42 participants and 42 active. So like the PCA 1, PCA 2, 19 PCA 1, 18 PCA 2 is our aid service. And then ISAP is our case managed. So there are a number, obviously 19 and 18 don't add up to 42. So there are some clients who are case managed but aren't linked with an aid right now. So sometimes those numbers are lower, they just hired an aid, so that she picked up a lot of our clients. But if those numbers ever don't match, that's why, it's because we have a wait list for a number of clients that need an aid and don't have one.
Hey Tess, how hard is it for some of the families that are providing Alzheimer care to a loved one? Do they have personal care aides coming in to help them? Is it really hard to?
Right, so any caregiver support right now is difficult. In the past, we always, like the way we used to think of caregiver support was usually like an aide to come into the home, or like, you know, we had the care services at the hospital, the medical adult day, we had social adult day. There is a like home care crisis right now. We just cannot get the aides. Like if you called for your mother right now and needed an aide for her, we have to put her on a wait list because there's just a home care shortage. Wyoming County has a number of licensed agencies to work with for home care, but only very few of them, one that I'm aware of is Home Care and Hospice, actually has aides in the county to provide the service. So even though it looks like we have a long list of people who can do in-home aid help, we really don't. Because only one actually has people in this county that can do it. Home Care and Hospice is difficult because with all due respect to them, they help us out as much as they can, but they're split. They have a whole hospice program that is more of their niche than the home care is per se. Especially for like PCA one is light housekeeping. Light housekeeping is lower on the priority of a home care and hospice agency than any. So the laundry, grocery shopping, cooking, that type of thing. Having our clients linked with those services is harder than ever, but it's even more difficult if they need a bath and we still can't get them someone to come in and help them with the personal care. So right now it's really difficult. A lot of OFAs are seeing this. We're not special, unfortunately, or I guess in this case, I guess it doesn't matter, but a lot of OFAs, it's nationwide. I'm pretty sure it's all over the world. It's a home care problem. You know, people want to stay home. They want to be comfortable. We want them to stay in the community as long as possible and still contribute to it. And the home care just isn't there, whether it's the people or the pay. I don't really know. I could talk about it forever, but a lot of the OFAs over the past like a couple of years have actually started hiring their own aides. So right now we pay home care and hospice $37.60-something an hour per aide. $27.60-something. So it's almost $30 an hour we pay for an aide service that, who knows, I don't even know what's going towards the aide, $15 maybe tops. You know, if they're lucky, they're getting more than minimum wage. So that's something we have been playing around with numbers. We get an ISEP grant. ISEP is what pays for a lot of our home care services. And we get $178,000 for our ISEP grant. And currently, our year is almost over, so it goes March. It goes April to March. So our March year is over. We haven't gotten everything in for it yet. But currently, of our $178,000 ISEP, we have spent $90,000 of them. So we do have a little wiggle room. Right now it's the MDD and our meal program is huge. So we'll be able to move money around, but we do have some ISEP dollars that we want to make sure we can spend in the future some way, shape or form. And we want to get aides in people's homes. You know, it's hard when you have a caregiver whose loved one doesn't want to leave their home, and the only respite we can provide is an overnight at the hospital or cloisters. So I guess to answer your question, it's really difficult. We're trying to be creative as much as we can. You know, we started a pilot program with Healthy Community Alliance through a Ralph Wilson grant. And that's providing technology in place of traditional respite. We're trying. I don't know how it's going really well, but not for the hands-on type of thing. Any questions on that?
Any idea how many are on the waiting list?
Yes. So any given moment, we have between 15 and 19, usually. Some OFAs will stop case management when they have a wait list, but I didn't want to do that because sometimes we can help loved ones through things, even if we can't put a body in there. So we still pick them up on case management, and we do have people who could be on the wait list for 2 months, and we have a person who's been on there for 1 year. So it's just very difficult, you know, but anywhere between 15 and 19.
I know there were efforts 15 years ago or so where there was a wait list, and you know, the county made a commitment to offering the services, so there was no wait list. Because even taking out the personal aspect of it, it's, you know, keeping people out of the nursing home. And it's just like even when you thrive, AIDS, it's difficult. I had a discussion with Andrea on this, and she said she recently went to a leadership statewide leadership forum. And this was one of the big topics of discussion, and some of the other counties are looking at having county employees as an aid, where they could direct them, you know, this is your caseload, and you're concentrating on the certain services in order to keep someone there versus not knowing if the agency staff is going for hospice, focusing on that service or not. And she's gonna be putting some numbers together and really doing, actually probably Tessa will be doing a lot of putting numbers together, but you know, seeing if it's feasible to, and even on our part, as we all know, we can create the position whether we can fill it or not. And she says she wants to make sure if we do fill it, we're not stealing somebody from the hospital or the nursing home, because they have their own serious needs, people that really well their care, so. But if we could have somebody in it, even if they spend half an hour in the morning and half an hour later in the day at home, checking on people, making sure they're getting hygiene care. So she's gonna be working on that the next couple of months and presenting something by the end of May and saying if it looks feasible to go forward with the idea for the budget process for next year.
Lori asked for a purely selfish reason, and I think in our case, it's probably too late, but for other people who are struggling with what we still struggle with, sounds helpful. I think it's too late for us, but
And he's always gonna be. Okay. All right. Any other questions or discussion on the statistics and services? Number 2, name is Older Americans.
Yes. The theme this year is Age My Way. So what it's focusing on is almost, well, it's a nice segue into our theme. It's about exploring the ways older adults can remain and be involved in their communities. So how to make a plan for them to stay home, whatever that means, however it looks.
Used to do a series of courses on like aging 101 or
Aging Mastery Program.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of Andrea's baby. So the Aging Mastery Program does have a bunch of different classes in it that focus on sleep and nutrition and, you know, volunteerism and all these different things that help to lead to a better quality of life. So it's just teaching people how to focus on them, what to do, and there's a bunch of giveaways, so it's got a good draw to it usually. Yeah, she hasn't done that class in a while because we lost the grant. We just have the books now. But I think we're probably going to, we are looking at doing something. We have done a senior forum in the past as well. And we would have like a day long, we'd have a general speaker and then breakout sessions that people could go to. Legal, you know, they could talk to a funeral director, they could talk to DSS about Medicaid planning, and then things that aren't nearly as dry and like boring sounding. So we are looking into doing that again too, because it's been a while since we've been able to host something fun, I guess.
getting older is not fun.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, it's not for sissies, so
certainly not for
sissies.
That's right.
I do have like a sample, the proclamation they're using. It's shorter than what's been used in the past, so I thought.
I'm trying to look out front.
Okay,
Cool, thank you.
Can I get a motion for the Older Americans Month proclamation? Vice Ranger. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, grant application with the state office for the aging. Or the bulk of your funding.
Yeah, so this is our annual update. This has all those, that ISEP grant that I talked about in there. It's not all of our grants, but it's the majority of them. Entry into units.
I was doing a good job anyway, if you didn't say so.
So if you have another county department who needs help entering a grant into Munis, they can call me, because I figured out how to do it. I don't know if it's right, it went through,
Tell them why you're saying this.
because
The charge codes. How many charge codes?
13 different charge codes, which I didn't even really know what that meant until yesterday. But yeah, so
Did it her grant up the way it was supposed to be in the budget, and it took 13 charge codes to do it.
and then I put them all in and it didn't accept it. And so I tried to release it into the workflow and it didn't accept it. Something that said the numbers were off. Anyways, figured it out, but if you have another agency that needs some help, they can call me, I can save them some time, probably.
Be careful what you wish for.
They call you within like the next 48 hours, after that.
Oh, I'll never forget this.
And just as a disclaimer, wasn't my idea.
It's okay.
I'm just over here trying to teach everybody how to get it done.
However is gonna lead to the future, which I've heard is bright and sunny in Munis. Willing to work towards it, but yowzers.
Keep on believing.
Can I get a motion on the grant application? Supervisor Roberts. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Anything else related to the OLA? I don't have anything else. Your own stuff?
I got a crash course real quick before I came in case there's questions. I might be able to handle them, we'll see.
All right. Well, we have the program updates, which are the staff, and those numbers have all been provided. See, there's a wait list there too.
Mhm.
That's provider based as well.
Actually, while I think of it, going back to the plan that Andrea is working on with foreign aid, she did reference the fact that, as Tess mentioned, the amount of money that has been spent is so much lower than their allocation is. And she says it's just because the agencies do not have the staff out there. So if she does develop something, it would be all or the majority of it state funded.
If you look at our, sorry, you got me started again, and I told you I can talk about OFA for a really long time. But if on our annual report, we put how many clients we served under ISEP for the past 5 years. We kind of lay it out, whatever. And in 2017, we served either 111 or 114 or 117, somewhere in there. And last year we served 45. So you can look at it and say, okay, COVID, blah, 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 but we also have about 20 on wait lists. So, and there's a lot of people who aren't willing to even try the wait list. Before we can even link them with, try and link them to our wait list, we try and get them to be served any other way, which really might not be serving them, but, so really those numbers, they did start going down in 2017 and they've seriously decreased. So that's just another thing that's like, we know they're there, the need is there, and we want to make sure we're the ones they're going to for it and then not getting tied up with some criminal or something,
Any questions regarding the program updates? Okay, then we got some contracts under $3,000. One with Amanda Humphrey for the STARS program. And then with Dell Marketing for the provision to purchase a laptop.
I have that address too.
Yeah, I just wrote down the one down the way, is that the one that you, yep, okay.
Number 3 is a contract with Jan Montana. For translation services. And that's for an amount not to exceed $10,000. Do you know if that's a new contract?
No, this is not, it's last year, Youth Bureau and OFA, we started sharing her for translation services because we both have state requirements to have translation services, and OFA usually deals with like a call-in company where she can come in person, so. We started last year, it did go up. Last year, she was $35 an hour, and this year she's going to be $45 an hour. I think we used her once. Oh, I paid it.
Can I get a motion on that? Supervisor Davis? Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And overnight travel authorization. This was an authorization that was previously granted, but there is a change to the provisions for it, is that there is the expense of the Easy Pass in there, so making that correction. I'm sure it was a huge amount since it was Canadian back. Technicalities. Okay, can I get a motion? Make that amended. Supervisor McCormick. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else?
Not for me. Anything else from you guys? Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Have a good day.
Mrs. Barber.
Hello. Hello. Short agenda today.
What's wrong with that?
Asking for a position, a social services program specialist. Sherry May, this is actually a senior. Sherry May got a promotion and she was in the senior position. She's moved up to the principal position, so we're trying to backfill her position. This is a temporary assistance.
Any questions on there? If not, I need a motion to approve it. Supervisor King. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Yeah, FYI, agreement with Ontario County for the foster child who is in Wayne Hospital.
Yes, we had a child in the Wayne Hospital for over a month at the ER. And we had to man that, so we also asked Ontario County as well as Wayne County. I don't know why I haven't gotten names yet, but both counties helped us out by some of their staff sitting with the child. So this is to pay for the staff in Ontario County.
Can I get a motion to, oh, this FYI. Number 3. Maintenance foster care areas.
And we're doing, I mean, we're consistent with our numbers, it's not climbing, which is great.
What's the situation with foster parents?
Hillside does our foster parents, and they are running a class right now, I believe. But it's all been virtual.
Do you know, can you hear about that?
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, wait, can you hear, do you know what it is?
Well, we don't have any,
I know, but what do we have through both sides?
I don't know.
I'm just curious, so.
They may have plenty, I don't know, I don't
It's more than I thought.
have contact with that level anymore. But I know that once some of them adopt, they don't want to be foster parents anymore, they're close, so they are struggling to get foster parents. Kids have more behavior problems and parents are busy, so it's hard to get foster parents.
Can I get a motion proclamation for the foster care awareness month? Supervisor Roberts. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. And your month list.
No big changes here. People are coming in slowly. We have had more homeless come through the door. We are helping them as best we can, but there isn't the availability of places to put them. We're using the East Hill Hotel as well as the Vatican. Occasionally we have to take them to Batavia, but usually we can keep them local. The apartments aren't available, there just isn't the housing. I'm not sure how much you want me to talk about the numbers, because like I said, they haven't changed a whole lot. As I compare them to last year, in March, they were lower in 2021. I'm looking at the WST 003. There's 241 applications for this year, and last year there was 171, and I have to believe some of that is the homelessness. But people are also coming in for the SNAP benefits. And I will pay.
Any questions anybody has?
I have one question. On your homeless, are they mostly residential from the county, or are they just people coming in from other counties?
Mostly from within the county. We call them couch surfers. They have been staying on somebody's couch or in their living room somehow. They've been staying with a friend, and maybe that friend has had enough and said you have to get out. And now that the weather's a little warmer, somebody might say, well, you sleep outside, get yourself a tent. And we do have some people that do that as soon as it starts to warm up. But we do have a few that get discharged from the jail. And they come to us. Some of them, if they're not from around here, they want to go back to their home county, we'll give them a bus ticket. We take them to Batavia and put them in the bus, because they don't want to be here. Glad to help them get back to where they want to go. I do have, next month, I'm gonna have 3 positions. One of them is my secretary. She's leaving me. And I'm very sad, because she's been such a great help. She sold her house and she's moving out of state.
Patty or not?
Betty. Yes, I'm very upset, but I can't hold her back. She's wants to move on.
I like working with her.
We had caseworkers, I'm sorry,
Is it like a retirement then, or she's moving out of state?
she's just moving out of state. just put in her resignation and, well, she hasn't given me that, yeah, because she has 30 days, she's supposed to do it 30 days, and she's not leaving until the end of June. I also have a caseworker that's, we've only had her maybe a month, and she had a family emergency, so she just couldn't stay with us. So I'll be asking for another caseworker and child protective. And my fiscal administrative assistant put in her resignation today. She's been with us 22 years, but she's coming down here. Treasurer's office. So. And I'm expecting another one.
They still on here.
Yes. But I never want to hold anybody back. I'm happy for, anybody that can move on.
Sometimes it's just a change of scenery.
Right.
Change up a little.
It's just hard to fill those. We have empty spots that are hard to fill. Does anybody have any questions of me? All right, thank you.
You know, it's,
You've got one.
What, what do you got?
you can say.
We've got some brochures for everybody's office and then kind of what I'm going to talk about the statistics.
Yes.
So thank you for inviting me back. It has been a little while and I'm due to get back here. The timing is good. Every March, we are required by the Community Service Block Grant by the state to do an annual report. So I put together kind of an overview of the things that we measure every year. And in our Community Service Block Grant work plan, every area program that we work in is accounted for, whether the funding comes from CSBG or some other source. So this really is a pretty healthy snapshot of our lives, of our everyday life at community action. So and in addition to our normal CSBG entitlement grant that we get, we also, within the past 2 years, have gotten CARES funding, which you probably know. And a lot of CARES funding was really earmarked for some of the same things that we do or were anticipated that we would need to be working towards considering the COVID situation. So what you see here in these annual report numbers is really a combination of the entitlement grant and the CARES Act grant. Except for our actual, there's a 5%, we've increased our total number of served by about 5% within the last 2 years. You know, we thought when COVID first hit, we thought, okay, our numbers are really, it just was, we were in a sort of a strange time where there were no evictions, not a lot of people connecting. But frankly, our numbers really never went down from 2019 to 2020. They really stayed relatively stable and the same. But this past year, it really increased. And a lot of that increase has come from the employment training area and the housing area, and then general care coordination and referrals to various agencies in some way, shape, or form. So, so in our climate training area, some of you may know, and I know from Ellen's said, some of you are new to this and some of you have been around, but so bear with me for those of you that have heard this. We are the recipient of Workforce Investment Board funding, workforce development. So it's our job to work with people in the community for training, vocational training, on-the-job training, resume writing, anything related to employment training. So this year, our adult goal is over 160, I think it's about 160% this year, to the point where the NOAA funds actually ran out. So we actually were able to use some of our CARES funding, luckily in our county, to supplement the workforce development area. And also we've got a couple grants there's a grant called Project Uplift, which is a United Way grant that we're now eligible for because they merged them. And then some private foundation grants. We were able to actually continue our work in the workforce development area. So this is a pretty good sized number for us. We're still challenged in getting people into jobs. So there's been a lot of vocational training. We've had a lot of outreach from businesses to get help, to get people into jobs. We focused a lot on the healthcare fields because, you know, as was mentioned before, AIDS is a chronic need right now, and they're just very, very tough positions to fill. So the past year, we've done 4 CNA training programs, funded them for the county, for people in the county. But it's the other area that we actually focused on with the CARES Act grant is supporting the business community getting back up and running. So we work with Jim Pierce and the group to actually help fund mentorship programs for businesses so they can pivot their business to a potentially different way of doing business, whether it was more online retail or sales or marketing themselves on digital. So that has been really well received program, and that's continuing again right now. You may or may not know, we also fund the business startup program that is run through the county for certain people who are eligible under an income eligibility through workforce development. So we all know business being your own business in this county is really important. And statistically, with what has happened with COVID, one of the things they are seeing is a lot of people changing and going from working for somebody to actually trying to run their own business. So it's an important piece that we need to be paying attention to and continue to help support. So the second thing is in the housing support area. We also got additional funding and through CARES Act to help in the housing area. Just as Kim said, we're seeing a lot, probably within the past 6 months. And logically, you know, the eviction moratorium was lifted, and there's been starting to be movement in the apartment world, but not a lot yet. It's still, there's no place to place people. We've always had a Section 8 wait list, but it's been more significant this year, past couple of years, because we just can't find places to place people. And, you know, temporary housing doesn't really exist in this county, so we're just trying whatever we can, getting somebody, when somebody leaves, to try to get somebody in to housing. But a lot of what was what was put out for this is really some of the security deposits for people getting into apartments, and a lot of back utility. People got really behind on their utilities or water bills. So that is probably 5 times, this number is about 5 times what it normally is in the course of the year. And the only reason we were really able to do this is that we got additional funding. We got a good size bit of funding from the Western New York COVID Response Fund, so we could support this area, and then also the CARES Act funding. Housing, there's no easy answer. I know it was asked of us before, but there's no easy answer for that right now. And we're just trying to do our best to see if we can fit people into houses. And the one area I wanted to, I won't go through all these, some of this is obvious, but one of the areas that we've really put a lot of focus on in the past couple of years is just the overall navigation and referrals. Because, housing isn't an easy answer, but people don't necessarily know that there is potentially resources other than our area that they can potentially apply for or look for. We help a lot of people with ERAP along with the Department of Social Services. So things like that is really an important piece of what we know is the value we can bring to the table. So our care coordination program, navigation referrals has really been one of those areas that we've been tracking more on and increasing in our capacity to try to really help people. We hear all the time that people, they don't know what's available until they need it, and then they don't know where to go to get it. So we hope that we are creating an environment where people can call, or Department of Social Services knows that just call community action, and if they can't help you, maybe they can find a resource that can help you. So we want that reputation, and we hope we're gaining that reputation. And so, and our numbers are certainly showing that a lot of people are picking up the phone and calling. And then I just wanted to focus a little bit on the volunteer piece, because that's a number we also measure because it's part of the capacity and supporting the community at large. And we know, that's probably been one of the most valuable things that we've been able to rely on through this, because, we're down staff ourselves, but we have volunteers that have been willing to step up in different ways than maybe what we even used them before. There's a lot of talk about seniors and housing and how can we try to do a better job supporting them, and we know we need to figure that out. And there's people in churches that want to have people that want to help people, but they don't know who and where and how, and that's just one of those nuts that I really want to help us crack here as a county and work together, because I do think there's resources that are underutilized that if we all got our heads together, I think we can help. And seniors and housekeeping and those kind of things is the calls we get all the time. And we really don't have a good answer for it, unfortunately. Hoarding situations, people moving, no help, those types of things. And that's just, it's a health problem, and it's a challenge that we need to try to work towards. So. And lastly, I just wanted to share that when I was looking at our overall account, financial statement and numbers, I just wanted to share that $1.24 million are actually deployed using private sector funds in some way, shape, or form. So I think that's one of the things that we, as a nonprofit agency, bring to the table that helps with be able to deploy private sector funds and county and state and federal to work towards the work that we do. So, and our overall budget, I think, is 2.9 million, so that's a pretty good chunk of our budget, so that's what I wanted to share. Any questions, concerns? Didn't do that good of a job. So anyway, you all have our latest brochure, which has a better accounting of the things we do. Keep them in your office if you need more. You know where to send people.
Okay. Thank you for providing all the services that the county wouldn't be able to manage that one.
Thanks. And we're open to, I think we're open to opportunities, I think that, Kim, we're working with Kim and Judy on, an additional rental assistance program, which I think is gonna be really good. For the county, we were able to do what we did this year through private sector funds, but being able to have some additional rental assistance. There's always there's a gap between, somebody in Section 8 or somebody getting a job or somebody where it's hard for them to get their rent paid and security deposits paid. And that's where it becomes challenging, because once they get behind, it's just that much harder to catch up. And so we're trying to help people before they get to that place. And then it's just beyond anything we can do.
Unlike social services is their safety net. And you're like the safety net underneath that safety net. Is that number?
Yeah, and for the people who aren't eligible for which we see all the time. It's a situation where we find somebody. I've used this example a few times where, somebody asked for their water bill to get paid because they were behind, and come to find out they were going through chemo and health problems and all those unanticipated expenses that we know someday we potentially will have health problems and need to save for that expense, but we don't always want to really think that way if we're not able to do that because we're living from month to month. And so we have a program that can help them with their medical expenses. So that's, if you really get to know what's going on with somebody. So, all right, thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else for human services today? We are adjourned.
Yes.
So it should be.